mistakes. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. Sober Saturday, trudging. Yeah. We already trudge the road of happy destiny. And, we alcoholics, we are so, what's the word for it? Versatile is what's coming in my head, but that's not what I'm looking for. We have a lot of fortitude. It's amazing what we put ourselves through, and we come out on the other side. Weird, huh? People are probably like, "What? Why are you combining these two? And what the heck is Frisian, or is it Frisian? I may even be saying it wrong." So Frisian is, if you're listening to music and you get goosebumps, that is what they call that. And these two things go together a little bit better than you might think. Because I am constant, and what is stemming? Stemming is like the repetition of things, or something that you do to kind of make yourself better. Like this perpetual motion thing that I have, right? This would be considered stemming too. All right. When you hear me sing here, when you hear me make little sounds and stuff, you ever been next to somebody and they it's why I tend to act a little bit more out there when I'm in a Zoom meeting, when I do podcasting. Stemming becomes kind of animated. So, but all right. Oh, hi, Isaac and Wesleyan. Woo woo. Thank you for telling me that there were people listening that were younger. I will do my best. And I won't bring up you know who. Almost got in trouble one time for that, right? I've been thinking a lot the last couple of days about how many people I've met in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a lot. I'm now getting to a point where I know as many people as I did the first time I got sober. But 98% of the people that I knew when I got into the program when I was 18 years old, they're gone. Are gone. Most of them died sober. It's kind of hard, man. I miss a lot of things. I miss there's a lot of people I miss. And, I missed out on some things because I decided after 12 years to go back out and drink. And, you don't really hang out with AAers when you're drinking. And yeah. Anyway, let's get this. Let's go ahead and get to this. It's a little, I don't want to say, I think homesick is the way to describe it, but it has more to do with time than it does home. Yeah. All right. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'll be your host. If you're here, please say hello, whether watching the live or the rewatch. Now I've kind of accepted life for what it is. And I have found that the grassroots meeting seems to be as close to the way that it used to be than any other meeting I've really gone to. And that is definitely God. I'm not going to take credit for that. I don't control other people. I don't determine all that. God's one that gave me the idea to start a home group, and I couldn't find a home group, so I made my own. I followed the directions in the big book, and guess what? It worked. It worked. But part of that grassroots for me is kind of satisfy the good old days for me. Um, I was used to walking into AA meetings, and if you weren't there 5-10 minutes early, you weren't getting a seat. You could walk into the room and you could feel the fucking movement. You could feel the actual movement of what was going on in that group. Right. All right. So we're going to talk about frisson first here. In a psychological and physiological context, frisson refers to the subjective experience of skin tingling or chills, often accompanied with piloerection, goosebumps. Why did they just say goosebumps? Because I didn't know what piloerection was. It is essentially a pleasant, brief, and intense emotional rush caused by specific stimuli, particularly music. The word itself is French for shiver. Huh. All right. Now, we alcoholics are kind of emotional, so I have a feeling that this probably happens to you too. I'm the type of person, I almost always have music going on. Even when I open the grassroots meeting, I'm listening to music. And I have music on. Sometimes even people will even be in the room, but I have it on a speaker. I have it on this speaker. And if I have this speaker over here, they can't really hear it because if there is one thing that I own that's nice, it's my microphone. Right? And it depends on my mood. This morning I wasn't quite awake. I put on heavier stuff, you know, and it's really a mood thing for me. Sometimes it might bring me back. Sometimes it reminds me of the people in my life. Sometimes music will remind me of other things in my life. I utilize music more for memories, good memories, than I probably anything else in this world. I find music very moving. If I had to pick between music and my PS5, I would pick music. I would miss my PS5. All right. They're like, well, there's another nice thing. No, this microphone's nicer. Not as expensive, but it's nicer. All right. Bought it during Amazon deal days, right? So all right. So music has a very big sway. Now, right, and what are you doing? What are you doing that? Well, it's a form of stemming. See, stemming is kind of a recreation of what's going on. Sometimes I'll like when people get their text messages and it goes gabloop or gabloop, I have to repeat it. When I hear it, and I won't be satisfied until I do it. It's almost automatic for me. Stemming is like Tourette's without the swearing. All right. The term stemming generally refers to the process of reducing a word to its base root or form, removing suffixes and prefixes. This is not what I was going for. That is not the stemming I was going for. All right. So we're gonna talk about frisson here first, and I'm gonna ask AI for a different overview here. So, but it's going to give us a relationship here. While frisson and stemming are distinct concepts, a potential connection exists in the context of research on how language and other forms of communication trigger emotional responses. That's what I was going for, particularly within areas like psychopsychology and human computer interaction. All right. You want to know a part of my stemming? Memorizing words, which is also part of my dyslexia. I have a lot of things going on. Well, you know what? We never even added dyslexia onto my mental illnesses. As I have to write that down because it'll go towards, when I do so. Anyway, it doesn't. So understanding emotional languages Researchers interested in how words and language can induce emotions might analyze text for words or phrases known to trigger frisson or other emotional responses using techniques like stemming to identify root emotional drivers within language. Oh, that's pretty interesting, right? So I'm going to tell you how this happened. I was doom scrolling, just call it what it was. I'm not even really doom scrolling. I only look at certain things now. Well, I guess that would be the definition of scrolling. But and somebody had brought up the definition of frisson. I'm like, that is a lot like stemming. So that's where I got it. Somehow my brain put these two things together. It was probably a part of my stemming. What's the other another part of my stemming, right? Is body doubles. My wife's a body double for me. Now we don't act a lot alike, things like that, but she knows how I am. She knows how I react. She knows those things, right? Um, like I have an MRI coming up, right, where they put you in the machine. Kadon, 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 kadon. Oh, see, you know how much stemming goes on when I hear that stuff? Modems. I don't know if any of you ever experienced listening to your modem dial up and connect to the internet to AOL or Yahoo or some of these places that aren't around anymore. AOL might be around. Anybody even on AOL anymore? I don't know. All right. Even that is embedded into my brain. And I've always copied things, right? Like here's another good example. I'm not necessarily a good lead singer. I can carry a tune decent. You know, I'm not the best singer in the world, but I don't send dogs howling. But if somebody else is singing, this is this question gets asked a lot because even if there's company over here, I'm still singing. I don't really give a fuck anymore. And I hear this often. Is Dion singing? Yeah, yeah. I can harmonize, but it's part of my stemming. I do a lot of different voices, things like that. I don't know what it is, but they make me feel better emotionally. Huh. It's almost, my stemming is almost like a protective barrier against the rest of the world. See, I already know that I don't like the word crazy. I don't like these other words, but I mean, you know, I'm not crazy, right? And yet I can still be a free man, yet I can still be who Dion wants to be, right? And I don't get much flack for it, and I wish other people wouldn't get flack for it. But people realize pretty quick that if you give me shit, I'm going to give it right back to you, and it's going to be a double load. I'm going to stem your ass. Analyze frisson-inducing content. If analyzing user generation content related to frisson-inducing experiencing, stemming could be employed to extract the core vocabulary with these experiences, offering insights into linguistic features of content that triggers frisson. Now, I understand that. I know it sounds like. Did you have a speech impediment when you were a kid? I did. I used to say my S's through my nose, right? So if I would, if my brother caught and anything that I had that had an F in it, that's how I said it. That's how I had it. Right? So this is 1976, 77. My mom takes me to the doctor. Doctor says, "Well, your son's retarded." Yeah, and then they put me in the special needs class. Turns out I just had a speech impediment. It was one of those things where my parent, yeah, I was always told I wasn't smart. I was dumb. And it turns out I'm not. They were absolutely wrong. Lazy, yeah, I'd go for that. All right. So I had a speech impediment. This is kind of what they're talking about here. It's the repetition of things, hearing how somebody. So see, I had to become much better at. So I started mimicking things. Right? I started working on my impressions of other people and things like that. And I don't do them as much anymore. I had like 10 of them at one point where I did a bunch of them. People here don't seem to really like them. Right? So, in a mental health concept, what is stemming? All right. Oh, not stemming, stimming. No wonder I have it wrong. No wonder it was all messed up because because my stimming, so it's not stemming, it's stimming. I apologize. Right? See, we make mistakes. No wonder it didn't do it, right? All right, so let's go ahead and read over this. Now that we have the right thing, so when I put it out, I'll make sure I switch that to stimming. But I've been saying stemming all along when it's stimming. Stimming. Okay. What did I just do? I stimmed it. All right. In the context of mental health, stimming, also known as self-stimulated, stimulatory. Self-stimulatory behavior refers to repetitive movements, sounds, or actions that individuals engage in to regulate their emotions and sensory experiences. While everyone engages in some form of self-stimulatory behavior, like tapping a pencil or twirling hair, stimming is often more noticeable and plays a more significant role for people with conditions like autism and ADHD. So people will be like, well, it's not stimming, it's your ADHD. I don't know. I tend to think I'm a little on the spectrum. I don't know. That's what I think. Doesn't mean it is. Right? Did you shake your leg when you were growing up? I did that a lot. I mean, I would shake the whole fucking couch. My mom would be like, would you fucking stop? Oh, would you just stop that, please? All right. She would ask me, don't do that. Drove her nuts. All right. Functions of stimming, self-regulation. Stimming can help individuals manage overwhelming emotions. And that's what it is for me. If I'm doing a lot of stimming, I don't know. I don't know. But it is how I self-regulate. I do feel better after I do it. Sensory processing. Stimming can provide a way to regulate sensory input, either by increasing stimulation when understimulated or decreasing it when overwhelmed by the environment. I think what's going on is like when I hear that text of whoop, the sound itself makes me feel better. I don't know why. So when I repeat it, I'm like confirming to my head that we're okay. We're all right. I know it's just something really small. There are things that happen. Um, somebody slams a door. I have to stim because it was something that shocked me. Right, like when somebody slams a door, because it brings me back to growing up with my stepdad and stuff. Emotional expression stimming can be a way for individuals, especially those who are nonverbal, to struggle to communicate. Coping mechanism. Excuse me. Stimming can provide a sense of comfort and control in uncertain and challenging situations. Yeah. Do you ever see those videos of those kids that are in the grocery store? They're like, "I'm gonna destroy everything in here." They're stimming. They don't have any coping mechanism. So you need to provide the stimming. So here are some examples of some stimming behavior. Visual. This right here, right? See, we call it a fidget spinner, but really you're stimming. See, it's perpetual. It goes on. I don't need to think while I'm doing this. The only time this gets disrupted is when I drop it every now and again, which does happen. Okay. So staring at lights, spinning objects, blinking repetitively. Auditory, repeating sounds or phrases, humming, covering and uncovering ears. When I'm out and about, I tend to whistle or I sing. Went to the doctor this week. I was whistling on the way out. I don't know why. People don't bother me about it. But I do hope that my whistling made your day a little bit better. See, when you combine stimming and empathy, sometimes you don't know if it's your feelings or you're feeling somebody else's feelings that just fucking walked by you. All right. Tactile, hand flapping, finger flicking, rubbing skin or objects. I picked at my skin a lot growing up. I still find myself doing it. Vestibular, rocking, spinning, pacing. I walk around a lot, don't I? You ever go to a Zoom meeting with me? Oh, I'm up and down, up and down. All right. I'll even run the timer. I still got it handled. All right. Drumming. That's why I like drumming. It's part of that. Olfactory taste, sniffing objects, chewing or licking. Growing up, I used to chew on the side on the corner of my coat. Drove my dad mad. Stepdad. It wasn't my dad. All right. Drove him mad. Like, we always got to buy coats. And I told him, I don't care. You don't need to buy me a new coat. So I told him, like, what's wrong with this one? Pine Sol. Oh, God, do I love the smell of Pine Sol. I don't know why, but it makes me happy. Gasoline. Another smell I like. You know what smell I don't like? Alcohol. I don't like the smell of it. I don't like the taste of it. All right. But yeah, smell of pine. It must bring up a memory or something of when I was younger, when I felt safe and secure is probably what's going on. Okay. And I have to be careful around pine sol, or I will sniff that. I'll sniff it. And that could be kind of dangerous. So, I get my little pleasure, and then so I do a lot of cleaning with pine sol because it makes me happy. All right. Thank you everybody for being here. I shouldn't have put an expectation on this one. I didn't really have an expectation. I was just proud of myself coming up with the topic, and then I got the wrong word. So kind of made me feel like a fool. But I'll get over myself. I'll make sure when it gets out there, it says the right thing. All right, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And